Hello everybody, this is the John Crow, and in this video I wanted to take a look at the actor property behavior in the GameMaker 0.8. I wanted to figure out a use case method, how it could be applied in a simple context, and I came across the door behavior. If you walk up to any door in any game and you open it up, the door opens and you can pass through. However, the actual asset itself has an issue with collisions. The whole thing loses its collision attribute. If you close the door again, it turns back on. So it doesn't isolate it or mask it to just the door area that's opening. And this is a perfect use for the actor property. If you look at the other example, I have a door on the opposite side of the scene here, and if I open it up, I've already prepared it where I can't actually penetrate through the actual geometry. And once I close the doors, I can't pass through it again. This is just a collision issue with this particular door, but again, I can't actually move through it. So I'm going to come into the editor here and show you how you put something like this together. I've got some proxy objects that I've hidden away, and these are just free assets you can find inside of the marketplace. These are sandbox assets. One of them is, I can't remember their names, they're just a wall and a pillar. And the important thing for these ones is when we're constructing them in the context of our door, we want to make sure that they're set to no collisions to begin with. These are only going to enable their collisions when the door is open. And when the door is closed, we don't want collisions to happen, otherwise it's going to block us on the sides here. I'm going to start by giving them a behavior, and I'm going to move from the client to the synchronized type that gives us access to the actor property. And you can see it allows us to change the actor's properties on demands. Now, it doesn't give you access to a whole heap of properties, but it addresses one major issue that people have requested in previous versions of that game maker. If I edit the logic on it, the important things to understand is it needs a message to trigger whatever behavior you want to enable or toggle, and most importantly is who you're actually sending it to. And this one kind of tricked me a little bit until I kind of thought about it. So let's set it up. I'm going to use a message to activate the trigger, and I'm just going to call this on. And I want it to be a toggle, so I want that message on to act as a toggle for both the on and the off states of my collider. So I'm going to use the word on, and I'm going to send it from my door in both the door's open and closed states. So basically I want to toggle this property on each time I open and close the door. So the message when the door is opened, I'm going to send is on. And this is a really simplistic message. If I was using this in the context of a bigger project, these messages would be more inclined to, what part of the level this is, etc. In any event, I've got the message on, and I need to interact with the door in order to send the message on regardless of open or closed. And when these proxy objects receive the message on, we need to control not their visibility, just their collisions. So there's that. And if we edit the logic, the activation type needs to be a toggle, and that's really important. So the default state is for the activation type to be fixed. It defines how the behavior behaves when it receives the message. So fixed, it turns on and then it doesn't turn off, and toggle, it can turn on and off using the same message. And for our filter mode, make sure that the options here, unless you want to turn everything on, should be to specific tags. And I'm going to use the tags on these objects. So these four objects need to have their collisions toggled, so I'm going to call these my objects to toggle. And I'm going to set the tags here. So we're receiving the message on, we're using it as the toggle for specific tags, and they're obviously within range of themselves, which suggests that this could be sent from one object as well too. And I guess that really depends on whether you're using everyone in range or specific tags. Like if I'm trying to only toggle 4 objects out of all of these objects that are currently in the scene right now, this is probably the way to go. But if you're, and so in this case, I have 4 behaviors on 4 objects, but if it was to all of the objects or to a great deal of them, or a way you could group them within a certain radius, then maybe the everyone in range works and you only need 1 object to do that. So this seems like it's got a lot more utility than what I'm showing here. So the objects toggle specific tags, toggle, they have a tag. I'm going to move these back into position. So I've kind of pre-positioned them to make it work for the purposes of this tutorial. And I want to make sure that these are invisible. So they're invisible, they're not colliding. That collision flag is going to be turned on. That's the most important thing I forgot. So this collision flag here, this kind of is a bit counterintuitive at first. When you turn it on, you're saying when the message has been received, then turn it on, not turn it on right from the get-go. And so I kind of messed around with it a little bit, and combining it with the everyone in range versus specific tags just took me a bit to figure out. But now if I tab into the game, this should all work. So I walk up to the door, I can walk around it, there's no issues. And when I open the door, I then have my collision set up. I close the doors, I go back to my original state with the hidden attribute, and then the opposite. So yeah, it's kind of a neat little application. It would be nice if the door behavior just worked, like the collisions just worked, and maybe that's coming in another version. But as the developers told us, as they were rolling it out, these newer tools were meant to address some of the hacks that we had to put together in previous versions of the Game Maker. And what I like about the way the Game Maker works, of course, is that as these new hacks come out to solve, or new features come out to solve hacks that we developed as features, we're going to take the new features and make them into newer hacks. Anyways, I digress. Anyways, my name is the John Crow. I hope you learned a little bit from this video. I'll be posting more Point 8 tutorials as problems that I'm facing arise. And until then, take it easy, have a good night. I'll see you later. Bye.